everybody, this is the last video from Backstage in Sydney for Wicked. This is with Lucy Durack, a little bit of Kelly Dickerson, the musical director, and we're talking about all sorts of things. We're talking about Wicked, we're talking about when Rob Guest passed away, how it felt for the cast, how it felt for them, how long did it take till they all felt sort of comfortable again. We're talking about how Lucy's going to be when she's older and, you know, taking grandchildren to see Wicked. We've talked about everything. I think we've covered, you know, moving to Brisbane, we've covered everything. But most of all, we talked about the Rob Guest Endowment Concert, which is coming up on October the 4th. And it's going to be fantastic. Everyone in Melbourne's very excited about this amazing concert. We're so lucky to host it here. And we've got, you know, people from Mary Poppins, Matt Lee, all different people are going to be in it to support the theatre industry and the ANZ Rob Guest Endowment Fund. So that will help support some up-and-coming theatre people pursue their dreams as well. So make sure you get your tickets. There's still some left. They are selling fast, so make sure you get in. And I'll see you there. Enjoy the video. Bye, everyone. Okay, so Lucy's obviously in this gorgeous concert as well. Are you excited about that?
Yes, I'm really excited. Yesterday I actually decided what it is I'm going to sing, which is very exciting. And it's actually going to be a new song that's written by my friend Matthew Robinson, who's also going to perform in it as well.
Can't wait.
So, yeah, it's going to be good. I'm singing a quartet, which will be good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so, yeah, it'll be good because there's lots of people getting up and singing big solo numbers. So we thought, oh, we'll try something a little bit different.
Because Lucy had a real connection with Rob. A lot of people probably know that, but, you know, for those of you who are new to Wicked may not have known that. And she knew him for many years before, but tell them how it was your dream about the Wicked, how you all talked about that.
Yeah, well, we all used to talk about it a lot because Kelly Dickerson and I were doing a show called Respect, touring around Australia the year before Wicked was happening. And Rob was with us a lot of the time. Rob was doing concerts and going off and doing lots of other work, but he kept coming back to Kel. And we were in Brisbane and Melbourne and Sydney and Perth. And we all were saying, oh gosh, you know, if Wicked ever comes to Australia, wouldn't it be amazing and how extraordinary.
We could all do it as a family.
And then we did. It all was so lucky, and we used to talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
That year.
It's so wonderful that it happened like that, though. Like, it really is.
So, because you sort of put it out there as well, maybe.
Yeah, it was
and
incredibly special.
Like,
we absolutely loved it. And I remember when Kel, we were all in the car on the way to the launch of the Melbourne season, and we didn't know who the wizard was yet, and they hadn't announced it yet.
Did you know that? Did you just,
We were in the car, and Kel was like, right, yep, okay. So it was me and Amanda and Kel, I think, in like a maxi taxi to the airport, going to the launch. And she was like, can I tell the girls? She's like, yep. She's like, Rob's the wizard. It was so exciting. So I couldn't believe it. And then Amanda and I were lucky enough to go with Kel and Rob to New Zealand and do a bunch of publicity before we even started rehearsals. And I think
I've seen those photos of like Amanda going like that.
Had some good and some strange photos.
Were you singing like in the car on the way to Respect?
Yeah.
You were singing, you know, black is this year's pink. And I just have that line going through my head for some reason. We were driving to a performance of Respect. We're singing Wicked in the car.
Yeah. We just loved it. We were just Wicked fans, really, weren't we? To start with.
It was really lovely. So I'm going to surprise you with this question. I hope it's okay. Because I was asking Kelly if I could ask her this, and so now she'll probably answer, and she might want to answer first or whatever. But I was saying, like, because it happened, because Rob passed away, right, like such early days of Wicked, and then you all went back to work so quickly. Like, it must have been really or how did it feel when you went on the stage and then Rodney was filling in, who I think it was Rodney, wasn't it, at that stage? Who was fabulous. But how did it feel when it wasn't Rob there?
Well, it was such a sort of blurry time in a way because it was all so shocking, and we'd been told in the after the matinee, the Wednesday matinee, and I kept thinking, because I'd just spent the entire year working with Kel, who didn't have a day off, and I'd known that Rob never had a day off, and I did get into the building and think that this is strange. And at the end of the that matinee, John Frost came in and addressed us all and told us what was happening, and that Rob wasn't going to make it, and I was lucky enough to go up to see Kel and Rob in the break in between shows. And then came back to do the nighttime show, knowing that he was still alive. And so we actually all stood. I remember we all stood around on stage, and I remember saying something like, you know, if anyone was an advocate for the show must go on, if anybody would have gone on, it would have been Rob. So we have, like, you can't, and because everyone was crying, and it was a really, really difficult time. But I just said we just have to do it for him. So we all had a bit of a group, like we all stood in a circle and then we just did it. And I think that sentiment followed through because we didn't take shows off. Kel was back by watching the show and getting back into things by the Saturday. It was quite like Kel.
How did you feel, Kelly? Like, how did you feel like you're down there doing the music? How did it feel when Rodney came out and he was singing, I'm a Sentimental? It's like quite emotional songs about stuff that you could probably relate to.
Yeah, it was very difficult to start off with, absolutely. But I think that, as Lou said, I think the overriding thing that I knew to be true is that Rob would want us all to keep going. Yeah. And I think that also,
I love that.
As we were talking before, that theatre is a family. These guys were my family, and they were going through it too. Yeah. And so it never entered my mind that I didn't want to be there. Yeah. I knew it would be difficult, and it was really difficult. And Luce knows that lots of times you just cry at interval and cry before the show and cry after the show.
And Kel is just the most extraordinary person I think.
Yeah. But we all went through it. It was a bit of a blur.
It was a blur for quite a while.
How long do you think it took before you could kind of do the show? Like, I mean, look, I'm not doing it every day, but I think of Rob every single time.
I'm sure we both still think of Rob a lot.
Like, I compare every wizard to Rob, and I haven't found the Rob equivalent yet. Sorry,
I have a little moment when the wizards come out, and I love Bert to death, and I think I love Rodney to death. I think they do a wonderful job.
Me too, but I love Rob.
I always look just to the side when they first come out, and if you look to the side, I can imagine what they look like in the costume, and I can just see him there. Yeah. And things like that I can do now because it doesn't upset me as much. So I can just go, oh, there he is. I know, I remember that. Yeah. Whereas before, when we were doing it, I think we were all there for each other because it was important to say to Rob, we're going to keep going, it's okay. We love you and respect your way of working, and also we love each other and we're going to make sure that we're here rather than leaving each other in the lurch. We're going to stick together.
And that was what was so amazing as well, I think, about having Kel, because when there were those few shows when this had all happened, and we were all missing Rob so much, and we were all missing Kel so much, because there was two of the strongest presences and warmest hearts of the whole company, and to have both of them away and knowing that Kel's going through, it all seemed like it was all going to be okay once Kel returned. Like it was like, all right, we'll all pull together and I have a little moment when Bert or Dobbo, as it happens, both of whom I absolutely adore, held my hand at one point when he says son or daughter, and he holds my hand, and then he goes downstage with Elphaba, and I always have a little moment, and I'm just like, hi Rob,
I do too. I do.
Just a little moment just to give him. Because I'm sure he's around. I'm sure.
Has he done any tricks on you?
Well, as I was saying before, we tend to blame him for a lot of technical difficulties.
He has nothing to do with it. He gets blamed because I'm sure he's not happy with that.
But, I definitely, I have, there's no doubt in my mind that he's around sort of watching over everyone.
The closest one I've seen is the one, and I'll put the name under here as I speak now, but the person who I've seen is the guy who's playing the wizard in the UK at the moment.
Yes, I was just about to say that,
And I actually sat next to his agent, which was funny, like just by pure chance when I was there, but he was really good and he was very Rob. Like he did I loved the way Rob danced, and I loved Rob as the wizard, but he was the closest I've seen.
Yeah, right.
So I hope you get to see him. That would be really nice.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So how are you feeling about Wicked taking off and going to
to Brisbane.
Yes.
I really like Brisbane. It's always
warm.
Sad. It's warm. It's really warm too, being January.
I wonder if that'll be hot on the stage, will it?
Yeah, I think so. Like even today, this afternoon, the matinee that we've just done, it was really hot on stage. It was really humid, and Gemma and I were on stage, and at one point we were allowed to have a little chat to each other. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so humid. She goes, I know. I was like, this is what it's going to be like in Brisbane, but worse. She was like, I know. And we're like, maybe we'll be really skinny in Brisbane.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's like how Madame Marble lost all the weight because of all the costumes and the heat and everything, just the heaviness and walking around. So you guys will be like...
Oh, she lost a lot of weight at the start, and she hasn't put any of it back on. She's sort of very...
So then Brisbane, and then what happens then?
And then it goes to Adelaide, and then we're not really sure.
How long is it in Brisbane for?
I don't know. Do you know?
Is there a date?
It's month. All of these seasons are like... They're completely different.
And is it like a travelling show? Is it like in America how they do a travelling show? Like is the stage the same or is it a little bit smaller?
I actually don't know any of these details yet because it's still
exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting to have change. It'll be good and, you know, and it'll be sad to say goodbye because there'll be a chunk of people who will leave. But, you know, we've been so lucky. Like, I remember when we first started thinking, please let it just run for a few weeks at least. Like, a few weeks or a few months, just because I'd be too sad to have to give Glinda up, you know. How
do you think you'll feel when Wicked finishes?
Oh, I don't know. I think it will be very...
I'll cry. I'll be just like,
I'll definitely cry.
Do you know what I've often wondered? Like, I sort of think about how I can't imagine Wicked closing, like, anywhere. Like, it has to be at least playing in New York for my 100th birthday so I can go and see it.
I think it probably will
but
be.
How do you think you'll feel, like, you know, when you're, like, 75 and you take your grandchildren along to see
Well, we
Wicked?
have this joke. There's a few of us who've been on it since the start that say I'm going to be still doing it then, and I'm going to be like Glinda on one of those like...
or those trolleys, like the...
out of the bubble, they'll unroll like a little wrap. And I'll
She's not letting
down. That's me. And I'll be an old lady. Ryan Shepherd and I sometimes...
It's good to see me. Just like...
the two of us are going to be doing it right till the end.
But it's interesting, isn't it, for when you... how does it feel when you watch it like you've been to the UK and you say, how does it feel when you watch another person do your role? Do you sort of say the lines in your head? Like, what do you do?
Well, it was really strange when I did go and see it in the UK in between the Sydney and Melbourne seasons because I really appreciated it and it did make me go, oh wow, this is so... You get a different perspective and it's really exciting. But because it's so current in my mind, you know, you do in your mind, you're going along exactly saying the things that you say and things that you think and that sort of thing. But, you know, they did an amazing job and it was really exciting to see somebody else's take on it as well.
And do you watch, like, the little YouTubes? Like, you know how there's YouTubes of everyone, like all the different ones?
I don't. Before we started, I used to do a lot of research by just being interested in it. But no, we do it so many times. We've done it.
Yes, so over listening to
Well, it's not that I'm over it, but you know, when I get home,
800 times.
860 nearly.
I was going to ask you that, how many times you've done it. 860.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I guess it sort of takes on its own life after a certain point where you bring so many different things and it so becomes your own, you feel like you have ownership of your version of this character in this show. That
I still reckon your Popula's like every time I see it, there's like some new little like switch. Like it's the same, but it is like a quirky thing somewhere.
I'm always playing that. It's so much.
It's my
It's good. Mum just sits there and laughs. I'm just like, Mum. I'm like,
and laugh at all the things I've laughed at a million times before.
No, and she laughs before it even happens. I'm like, and it's just like the whole theatre's just watching and not laughing because nothing funny's happened yet. And Mum starts laughing. I'm like, oh my god, just.
The two tests for me are Popular and Wizard and I. When I hear Wizard and I know if it's going to be, you know, like I know what I think of Alphabet, and when I hear Popular. Love. They're my two tests.
Green. She just finished her sentence.
I've got to let Lucy go because there's probably a million of you out there for Stage Door, and if you haven't seen it, it's because of me. It's all because of me.
You know what you were doing before. It's all because.
So she's coming. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's so nice to see you.
Oh, you too. And they've got to come and see us at the Rob Guest thing.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be a great night.
It's going to be a really, really good night.
Yeah, awesome.